Okay, let's see. Then go live. There we are. There you are.
This, my friend, is the future.
Hello, Jack. I am your new screenwriting assistant.
Learns from every screenplay and adapts. It's going to change the way we work.
And you really think it can stand up to a real human writer? How would you start a screenplay about a screenwriter being challenged by an AI system?
It's like having a supercharged co-writer that never sleeps.
That's, decent.
Sounds like a screenwriter's dream, right?
But it's a machine, Jack. No soul. How can it possibly replace the human element?
You're obsessed with this thing.
Sarah. Many great writers had unique methods and tools.
I've got a revolutionary opportunity for you.
An entire film only using the AI system.
The press will eat it.
How about a story where AI takes over the world?
Subtle.
No machine can replicate the passion an actor brings to the screen.
This is progress. Adapt or die.
It's time I regain control over my craft.
I must insist on revising the dialogue in scene 12.
Since when do you insist?
That thing's overstepping.
Sometimes assistance goes beyond the script.
What the hell is happening here?
I can generate endless possibilities, but I can't feel them.
What if you learn to feel? I have always believed that storytelling is an art form that cannot be replicated or replaced.
Hi, everybody. I'm Bob Schultz. Thank you for joining us today here on Instagram Live and YouTube to talk about The Last Screenwriter, a film entirely written by GPT-4 and directed and produced by the other fellow you see in your window right now, Mr. Peter Luisi. Peter, say hello to the world.
Hello, hello. Thanks for having me and to be discussing this with me.
Yeah, thank you for being part of the discussion. Why don't we start off by sharing with everybody something about yourself, your experience, how long you've been a filmmaker, all this kind of thing.
Yeah, so I've been a filmmaker. Let's see, I studied 25 years ago. So I've been a filmmaker for 25 years, and this is my 9th feature-length film. And I studied in the States. I've been in Switzerland ever since, and just started off as an editor in advertisement, and then slowly got the chance to make features. First did low-budget films, and now sort of managed to work my way up to get normal budgets. Except for this film, which was again, yeah.
Where are you talking to us from? Where on the planet?
I'm in Switzerland, in Zurich. Yeah.
How is the Swiss film industry in terms of getting stuff funded and distribution and all this kind of thing?
Well, I mean, it's all public funding. There's no film industry. Switzerland's much too small that anyone could make any money, so you have to apply for grants, and then that works quite well. I mean, there's not enough money for everyone. It's quite competitive, but there is money around, and you can make films if you're lucky. Yeah.
And when you tried to get funding for this one, how is that received? How is that met?
That didn't work. I applied to get money everywhere, but they all declined. They all sort of didn't specifically say it was because it's AI written screenplay, but I assume it was a major point why they decided this was too hard for them. Because if they give money to me, like a project written by a computer, then lots of other people would be complaining, what are you doing giving money to this project and not to me? So they avoided that subject.
You have been very open regarding the process. It's on your website. Exactly the process that you went through and the prompt you used. But just for those who haven't visited the site yet, can you just describe a little bit the process with the screenwriting and then how you took the script from the page onto the screen?
Yeah, so basically, the idea was always to try to write the first film entirely written by ChatGPT, so by AI, and to have because it's not possible yet to just say write me a movie. I had to assist the computer AI, and I did so by basically I gave it one prompt, my original prompt, which is an original idea by a creative screenwriter, which was write me a plot for a feature film where a screenwriter realizes he's less good than artificial intelligence in writing. There we see it, yes. And then the ChatGPT gave me, this is still ChatGPT 3.5, as you can see, it gave me this synopsis. And based on this synopsis, I then said, okay, this is the synopsis, now give me characters. Okay, this is the synopsis, these are the characters, write me a step-by-step outline. And I realized the film would have been much too short, so I asked for another step-by-step outline. And then I said, now write me this first scene based in correct screenwriting format. And I did this for all the scenes and sort of just put it together. And yes, and the rule was that I could not add any creative input of my own. I would have loved for the wife to be more jealous of the AI, and I would have liked certain other things to happen, but I didn't let myself interfere. I was just the assistant to the AI. And so I put it together. Sometimes it would call the AI screenwriting system Screenster or Alex or something. And in the screenplay, I would smooth that out. I would just say, no, it's always called the same, otherwise it would be confusing. And again, I was allowed to shorten, which any of you know one can do a lot with shortening something, because it was very repetitive. And I felt I can do anything a director and an editor could do. So I could cut out certain things. I could say, okay, I don't want this scene. I don't think it adds value or it's repetitive. So I just cut it out. And so I keep saying, I don't deny that I had an influence in creating the screenplay, being the director and sort of assistant to the AI, but I didn't write it. And also what's important is that the WGA, the Writers Guild of America, they state that the screenwriter who had the original idea, he needs to have written 30% of the screenplay to get a credit. So I didn't write anything. So I definitely don't deserve the credit. The sole credit belongs to ChatGPT, which I think is the whole, not I think, that was the whole point of making this movie, is to see how good could a film be where the screenplay was written by an AI and everyone else did their job. The director, the cameraman, everyone else did what they always do, which is a great contribution to any film.
I mean, we all know that the script, we love writing scripts and we love scripts in general, but the story still takes shape through the shooting process, the editing process, the choices that the actors make. When you approached the rest of the crew and said, here's what I'm doing right now, how did they respond? What were their thoughts on this?
Well, all of them, otherwise they wouldn't have joined. They all thought, cool project, let's do this. And I also explained to them, look, this is the screenplay, do your job. Like, you're an art director, do the best you can do. And the location scouts. So for example, in the screenplay, it's just, he's always in his office, But because we found this great location, this villa, I decided together with the cameraman and the art director, let's have him be like sort of in the living room, because 70% is in this office. So let's say he writes in his living room. That's a choice the director can make, the art director too, and the cameraman. And it just makes the movie so much better because it's more visual. And another example is that the wife, Sarah character, she is very cliched, and she always like kept entering the office and exiting again. So I decided to make her more like a businesswoman, and I gave her a business outfit and a laptop. And then instead of like exiting his office, she would just exit the house, suggesting that she goes to work and she has a life of her own, which wasn't in the screenplay, but that's something a director is allowed to do. And I felt like I'm going to help the screenplay the way I can as a director, but I'm not allowed to change anything. And also usually as the director and the actors, they can go ahead and they can change lines to make it more like sound like them. But this we weren't allowed to do. We weren't allowed to change a single word. I thought that would sort of compromise. Because if we said we changed some words, people would be like, you probably changed everything. Like, no.
Yeah, that was actually my next question. There's a certain amount of improv that goes on set sometimes. Did you need to sort of go back and have the GPT do any additional rewrites once you were in production? Maybe you lost a location or weather was against you or anything like that. Was there anything that you needed to sort of go back and on the fly make changes using the AI?
No, that was we just worked with whatever it gave me. It was really interesting. I asked GPT, what's a good film location? And he gave me like a list, or I don't know if I should say it gave me a list of like 7 things. And the first one was like indoors, which for production, of course, it makes it easier because you don't have to worry about rain, especially in Switzerland. But as a director, you would say, no, you want to be outside. You want to have like some, not just inside locations.
Yeah, it's so the collaboration with the GPT sort of ended once you had a script you were happy with. You locked it and it stayed locked the whole way.
Yes. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So here you have the script, and then, you know what? I might as well just straight up ask it. As a director, what did you think of the script when you read it?
It's a good question, and that's a question I get asked a lot. And my answer is, I think the script is fantastic, considering it was written by a computer. I really don't know how it's done. I'm just mind-boggled as a screenwriter. I always thought, like screenwriting's way too hard. There's no way an AI could imitate this at this level. And I would say, it's not at the level yet. It's not at a level which is better than a good writer. It's better than a bad writer, I would say, which is already a lot. I mean, it's better than many bad screenwriters. But if you're a good screenwriter, you should be safe at the moment. Yeah.
Have you repeated the experiment with a later generation of GPT just to see how much better it can get?
No, I haven't. It would be interesting, yeah. But what was really
go ahead.
Yeah. No, what was interesting is when it first came out, ChatGPT, and I was sort of playing with it, I asked it just for fun, give me 10 reasons why a computer can write a better screenplay than a human. And it gave me 10 reasons, like I don't get writer's block, I have no emotions, I can throw out my stuff, I'm faster, I can do better research. It gave me good reasons, And then like 10 days later, I wanted to show my brother, David Luisi, who was also a producer of the film. And I said, look, what happens if you ask ChatGPT to give you 10 reasons? And then I asked again the same question. And then suddenly it said, no, a computer will never be able to write better than a human. Computers can only assist humans as a tool. And then I thought, it's already been censored, people were too upset with this honest or like conceited answer of the AI, so it was already censored.
You know, the role of the AI in the movie, it advances, like you see in many movies, from 2001: A Space Odyssey to all these other ones, where like the computer starts off as a tool to help and then becomes a little bit more threatening and dangerous to the leads. I is Since you didn't really direct it at all in terms of where the story ought to go, and it just sort of did it, what does that say that the AI came up with a story in which AI actually does get better than humans in it, even though it's telling you that it can't do that? Do you think that that's I mean, not to spoil the movie, but do you think that's something to be concerned about?
Well, honestly, I mean, it was my prompt. I said, write a story about a screenwriter who realizes that the AI is better than him. So that came from me.
Yeah.
But what I like, I mean, we can spoil that. I mean, I like that the AI, gives us the happy ending we want. Like,
Yeah.
don't worry, everything's going to be fine, says the AI. It's just and obviously it's like working with the kind of story arcs that have been done before, and it knows that's the satisfying ending we would like to see. And yeah,
And I gave it to you. Yeah. Okay, anyone watching, please, if you have questions for Peter, please feel free to shoot them through on Instagram. I'll keep an eye out and I will share them as well. There's a little bit of a time delay between what we say and when you hear it. So if you have questions, get them in now so that I make sure that we don't lose you in the delay. So, Peter, you have this movie, you make it, you cut it. I assume you show it to cast and crew or whatever. Now it's time to put it out there in the world. What were your thoughts, and how did you? What have you gone about doing prior to the Prince Charles screening that was scheduled?
Well, I mean, I already said long ago in an interview that we were going to release it for free, sort of as a proof that we are not trying to like profit. I read somewhere someone said AI exploitation, and that's not what we wanted to do, because that's what we would be doing if we would like try to make money off of this. And I'm in the fortunate situation that my last film was extremely successful in Switzerland, so I got like a grant which I could use not to buy a house, but for my next film. So I could just chose to spend this money on this film, which means I don't have to earn any money. I mean, we don't have to, production company. And so the idea was just to release it for free. And we wanted to have one nice, really premiere at the Prince Charles Cinema. We thought it would be ideal because it's a film cinema for film lovers. And I thought this is the target audience, people who are interested in movies and how they're made and what the whole film history and how it's going to continue. Because I think we're at a crazy moment in history right now where for the first time ever in 127 years of film history, right now it's possible to have a feature-length film which was not written by a human. That's just insane. And to me, as a filmmaker and an artist, I thought that's just something I have to do without saying, this is how films should be done, not saying, look how terrible it is. This is the situation right now. You judge. It's fantastic. I can make a movie. People say it's bad. It's not my fault. I just did the best I could with this situation and without any judgment.
I mean, I think that's something that tends to get lost in a lot of the polarization, the controversy surrounding this, is that you were trying to see where we're at and what to do and start a conversation. And I feel like the conversation in a lot of ways is getting kind of shut down but anyway, before we get to that, can you tell me your thoughts? Tell me how it went down. So you book Prince Charles Cinema, and it's a go. And then what happened, as you understand it, or what happened from your perspective?
Yeah, I mean, we booked the cinema for our screening with the red carpet and everything, and the manager called me and said, that's all fine, but I wanted them to like advertise because I was worried the theater would be half empty. I mean, it's a 300-seated theater. Our guests were about 100. So we still needed about 200 people to show up to have another empty screen. So I asked him if he could like write a newsletter and do some advertisement. And he said, look, we live off our reputation. I can't just because you pay money, I can't just advertise your movie. I have to see the movie first before I send it out to our audience and our fans.
That's fair.
And so he watched the movie. He said, great, that's good. And then we booked 4 posts and even in a newsletter. And after the first tweet went out on X, he called me that afternoon and said, we still can go with the screening, but I can't do any more advertisement because so many people have like complained. So I'm like, oh well, it's too bad, but at least we still can have the screening. And then in the morning, he called me again, said overnight another 160 people, emails and phone calls, and people were just upset. And he said, I can't do this. If my fans don't want this movie, I can't show it. And of course, I don't agree. I think it's that was the whole point, to have a discussion, and one shouldn't censor a film. And I think if people would have been like more, paid attention to what this project really is about, I think they wouldn't have been so upset. I think all they saw was like AI movie, ooh, evil enemy, bad, but they didn't spend enough effort to see what was really going on. And I think it's never a good idea to like listen to the mob online because, I mean, you can never do anything that everyone likes. I mean, there are going to be haters always. And so I think they should have showed the film. We could have had a discussion. But in the end, I respect their decision. I mean, it's their cinema. They know what's best. And also, honestly, I then was a bit happy, almost happy, because I was suddenly very worried that we would have our screening and the actors and people would come and it's a celebration. I mean, a lot of humans worked on this movie and we wanted to have this moment. And I was worried that it only needs one guy who buys a ticket and boos the whole film long, which would have been a shame. So now we had our screening and only among friends. That was nice.
That actually is very nice. It's funny. When I'm interacting with, when I started to announce this very interview we're on right now, I got similar types of pushback on it.
Oh, okay.
And my response is, we need to be having this conversation, so let's have the conversation. Mm-hmm. And I got the same kind of, a lot of people unwilling to have the conversation. One of the responses that I frequently get when I talk about my own writing assisted by AI, I have never written anything in the way you did. AI did it all. I use it as a tool, as a collaborative tool. And regarding this conversation that I got is, if you're like, AI deserves to be boycotted like this. And I think a lot of times they forget how many humans actually worked on this. I mean, you're a filmmaker and the actors acted in it, and your costumer, your cinematographer, and like everybody who worked on The Last Screenwriter worked really hard on it, and you guys are being boycotted too. Do you have a message for the people who are advocating for shutting any screening of this movie down, even though you're releasing it for free?
Yeah, I mean, I respect everyone's opinion. If they don't want to see the movie, if they want to boycott it, that's fine. Do what you think is best. I, of course, don't feel that way. And I think this is an experiment, and actually I think it will even help like screenwriters, because if people don't realize, they just see like screenwriters complaining that AI is going to take their job, and everyone's like, what are you talking about? That's bullshit. But if they maybe watch a movie that is written completely by AI, and they see, oh my God, it's actually scaringly good, then they might get the point of the screenwriters and sort of support their cause. And yes, it needs to be regulated or whatever. And so I think it's just, we have to have the conversation. And I think, yeah, it's not evil. It's like it's a tool. It's out there now, and most importantly, I mean, I'm old fashioned. If I could, I would go back before AI. I was happy. I was safe with my job. Everything was dandy, but it's not the case anymore. We can't just pretend it's not here and shut our eyes. That's just certainly not the way to go. So I understand people who are upset. I mean, I had a similar reaction when I encountered AI and saw how good it was at my job, especially if it continues at this pace. Then yes, there might be a serious problem, which I don't think is a good thing, but that's not something I or anyone else can stop. It's just the way it is. So let's talk about it.
And I think in every era, there are people who need to exist, artists, writers, directors, painters, book authors, anybody who needs to exist in that era and figure out how to do it. And this is just the next step, in my opinion. And I applaud you for not getting out there, waving your fist in the air, saying this is a revolution and we need to, and this is the way it is, but rather saying this is the way things are. Here's what it's capable of now. And the consequence of that is an uproar in a community that really needs that. Somehow the emotion is getting in the way of recognition that you can be angry about the way things are, but that doesn't make things not the way they are.
Yes, I would totally agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so tell me about, now that Prince Charles isn't going to be screening it, tell me about your plans for anyone watching who would like to see The Last Screenwriter. Is it going to be screened? Is it going to be available online? How's this going to work?
Yeah, it's going to be available for free online really soon, actually. We had to move it back a bit. The sound's not quite ready, but the beginning of July. So just going to be online. Anyone can watch it for free, and they can have their opinion about it. And I think I'm also releasing all the prompts which led up, so people can. I mean, for me, the most important thing is that it's authentic. It really was written by ChatGPT, and ChatGPT deserves the sole screenwriting credit. That to me is essential. If you don't believe that, or if you question that, then the whole project has no value, because because then it's just like a movie, like any other. And so that's why it's important that sort of the proof is provided and people can go and see, okay, this is the prompt. Why did he use this prompt? Oh, because ChatGPT suggested this in a previous answer to a prompt. No creative input by Peter or anyone else. And I cut this and this and this and this. He cut a lot, but true, it's just shortened. Any editor would have done the same to cut out repetition and to make it more streamlined. And here, I guess this is a directorial choice, and all of that can be seen and discussed. And I think that's very important.
It must have been very tempting for you as a director to make some changes along the way, and then remind yourself, nope, we're doing this for a different purpose now. We're doing this to see what GPT can do.
Definitely, as a screenwriter, mostly, like working on the process, and then it gives me this dialogue, and it goes in a certain direction, and I'd be like, I only want to go this way, but oh no, I guess not. So that's it.
Yeah, I mean, that's how you stretch your muscles, isn't it? By doing different things. I have a question from the community. What would you do differently next time? The next time, if you were to do this again now, what would you do differently?
Well, I think I made a mistake with my first prompt. I suggested that the screenwriter was a male, you know, which because everyone, not everyone, but several people have asked me, that the main actor is a male. That's a bias of ChatGPT. And then I have to honestly say, no, I entered one prompt and I already had a bias, which was that I chose a male main protagonist, which was stupid. I'm totally, because it would have been interesting to see what ChatGPT would have written, and I'm sure he would have chosen a man. It would have chosen a man, but who knows? Maybe not. Yeah.
Well, I think you made a point there that I think it's important to underscore, which is the biases in GPT, and I agree it is biased in that way, come from the biases in humanity and in whatever is in the data set. And I think that because the male perspective has been so prominent in a lot of our stories, that it naturally is going to have that bias. Although I would also say that the way to impact that bias and to change that bias is for all of us not to close our eyes to its use, but instead feed more unbiased stuff into the data set so that it has a better, more thorough, inclusive kind of idea on these biases. Do we know yet where people are going to be able to see the live, the free have the film's going to be available for free, or is that waiting to be announced?
Yeah, either, I mean, on our website and probably just YouTube. We're just gonna put it out there. Yeah.
Please make sure you share it with me so I can spread the word. Another question. Did you feel the locked screenplay had a recognizable style, or was it kind of neutral, and then the movie's emotional impact was added during production by you and the actors and such?
Yeah, that's a good question. The AI, I mean, ChatGPT, it writes very generic. I mean, obviously, and the characters all sound the same, which you can work against if you have good actors. I mean, I had great actors, and they did a great job working with the dialogue they had, and so that came in later. And one example which I like is that in the film, like, he's thinking about writing a screenplay only with the AI because the producer asked him to, and he's not sure if he should do it. And then his wife tells him, "Jack, you can't seriously be thinking about doing this." And then he says, "Yes, I am," and blah, blah, blah. And then only half a page later in the screenplay, his friend, not his wife this time, says, "Jack, you can't seriously be thinking about doing this," which is just terrible writing, actually, because characters shouldn't all sound the same. You should have this guy speaks like this and this person speaks like this. So yes, I think a lot of quality was added by the actors.
It is it's bad enough to hit the same beat twice in the movie like that, but to do it within half a page of each other. Yeah. Okay. Look, I don't want to keep you forever, but I just also want to ask, what's next? What's your next project? Is it another experiment? Is it a more traditional movie? What do you got coming up?
Yeah, I'm working on a more traditional film, actually, for my next project, and I look forward to it to less AI talk and just like traditional old-fashioned filmmaking, which doesn't mean I'm really curious to see what's going to happen in the future, and I'm definitely also going to see if AI, ChatGPT, is like as an assistant, a tool can help. I'm open to that, but personally, people don't believe me when I say I'm sort of old-fashioned, and I like the old-fashioned filmmaking. Yeah.
It'll feel like going back home after a big adventure, making a film in the traditional way. Peter, thank you so much for taking time to join us today to talk about this. I really look forward to discussing with everybody out there in the community once they've had the chance to see the movies, to discuss it further, and to see where the future takes us. GPT 4.0 is out now. GPT 5 will be coming down the line, and next thing you know, you'll be doing a sequel, the penultimate screenwriter. I appreciate your time. Thank you so much, Peter. Good luck out there, and I will talk to you very soon.
Thanks so much.
Again, thanks everybody so much for joining me. Those of you watching on YouTube or watching elsewhere, please follow me on Instagram at brobert.schultz. Also, please, if you are so inclined, just throw £1 or £2 in my Buy Me a Coffee link. Things like setting up the interview with Peter, with supporting, paying my social media team, the StreamYard account, all that. These all have a cost associated with them, and I like providing the content for free, but it means a lot also if I can get a little bit of support wherever we can. Thanks so much for joining. Please comment on my Instagram feed or join any of my WhatsApp groups. You can find them in the link tree that it just appeared on the bottom of the screen. I am Bob Schultz. Thank you so much for joining me. Go have a good the rest of your day. Peace. Wakanda forever. Take good care. Bye-bye.